So here I am outside of Minsk airport in Belarus. Just arrived here waiting for my bus to the city center, which should arrive in about 10 minutes. And boy, is it quiet here. It is really, compared to Sheremetyevo airport in Moscow, the mood here is very quiet because there are not many flights operating here. Moscow has a ton of flights in and out of it all the time, but this airport is really not very busy, not a lot of flights here, so the mood here is almost eerily quiet. I mean, not now because some flight just deboarded and these people are getting out, but 10 minutes ago here, it was like a ghost town here. It was so quiet here that it didn't feel like an airport. It felt almost like an abandoned building. Anyway, I will go to the city center and talk to you folks later. Okay, I think I'm beginning to understand why Bald and Bankrupt likes this place. So Bald and Bankrupt, a lot of people associate him with Russia, but he always seemed to have a special love for Belarus. And I wasn't sure why, but now that I'm here, I think I understand why. This is my hotel room. This is the view out the window. There's a Dvorец Sporta there. I think that's obviously something to do with sports, like a sports facility or something. But Bald is known for his love of Soviet things, and just look at, I mean, everything here is like something out of a portrayal of the Soviet Union from the 1960s or 70s or something like that. Like the wallpaper, the furnishings, especially the color, everything's brown. All this brown furniture and wallpaper is so 70s. I am here at the Hotel Yubileyny in central Minsk, Belarus, and check out this radio. Oh man, it is so retro. It is so vintage. It's like something out of Fallout. That's so cool. And these light switches, man, look at these light switches. Oh man, it's beautiful. So Soviet. I know Ball just says Soviet every 10 seconds in his videos, but I'm probably going to be doing the same because, I mean, can you blame me? Look at this. Oh, I forgot this. This is maybe my favorite part. I love this. They have a thermometer. There's an actual mercury thermometer mounted on the wall here, which is showing that it's about 24 degrees Celsius, which is a pretty good room temperature. I mean, I've never seen a hotel room in my life with an actual mercury thermometer mounted on the wall. How awesome is that? Oh boy, where do I begin? I've been in this country for only a few hours, and already I feel like I have so much to say about it. So I'm here on the bank of the river. Actually, I apologize. I forget the river's name. I looked it up, but I already forgot the name of the river. It's the river that goes through Minsk. There's the Hotel Belarus. You can actually see, if you can read Cyrillic, you can see it's actually called that. It looks quite magnificent at night. Now it looks probably less impressive, but at night it looks very much like something from I don't know, it's kind of like something out of an Ayn Rand novel, which is kind of funny because Rand was from the Soviet Union, but she eventually disavowed she hated the Soviet Union, hated everything about it, and came to embrace the USA. But she was from the Soviet Union when it was, early days yet, when it was still getting started, before it really became industrialized, before it later embraced the industrialization that she admired so much about America. Anyway, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Minsk, the capital city and largest city of Belarus. I flew here yesterday from Istanbul because there are not a lot of places where flights are still operating to Minsk, except for Russia. There are a few flights from Russia, and other than that, there are just flights from places like Istanbul and I think maybe a couple of farther eastern places like Dubai. But if you want to come here and you're not Russian, then probably your only real bet is to fly through Istanbul. And the reason I did that is because getting a visa so if you go to Russia, you need a visa. If you come here, you also need a visa, unless you fly to the Minsk airport. That's like the one exception, which is a big exception because probably most people want to do that. What other options do you have? Otherwise you can yeah, make a land crossing over a land border from somewhere, but most people will probably rather fly. So yeah, if you fly to Minsk airport, then you don't need a visa for some reason. Well, I say for some reason. I think I have some idea why, and I'll explain a little bit later, hopefully. But it was kind of funny because even the check-in clerk, like when I was at the airport checking in for the flight, the woman there asked me, this is the woman working at the check-in desk, and she asked me, do you have a visa? And I said, no, I don't need a visa because I'm flying. You don't need a visa if you're flying. Well, this is not true for all nationalities. I should probably qualify that. I think it depends on what citizenship you have, but I happen to have a citizenship which lets me be visa exempt as long as I fly to Minsk. And I think a lot of people don't know that there's that clause because, again, even the woman working at the check-in desk for the airline, for Belarus, I flew with Belarus, which is Belarus's own national, airline. And even the woman working at the check-in desk said, wait, really? You don't need a visa? And she started asking everyone. She asked, all of her coworkers, and nobody really knew, and everybody had to start, asking other people, wait, can you actually fly to Minsk without a visa? Seriously? I guess they weren't used to it. I guess it's not a common thing. They didn't expect that. But yeah, I did not need a visa to come here. Flew without a visa, and the flight from Istanbul to here was about 5 hours. Now, if you look on a map, of the world and calculate the distance from Istanbul to here, it's maybe about 1,000 kilometers. Ballpark. I mean, it might be a bit more, might be a bit less, but I mean, it's about 1,000 kilometers roughly, let's say. So that should be a flight of 1 or 2 hours. But again, if you look on a map, the flight path cuts directly through Ukraine. And because there's currently a bit of there's a bit of a disagreement happening in Ukraine right now. So for that reason, airliners will not fly over Ukraine. So we had to take this whole roundabout path where we flew east along the Turkish coastline until we got to the Caucasian countries, cut through the Caucasian countries, flew through Russia, and not even close to the border with Ukraine because there's too much risk of planes being attacked by surface-to-air missiles. So not even close to the border with Ukraine, but we flew over Volgograd. We flew that far east. We flew all the way to Volgograd, and then we started cutting north and then going northwest toward Belarus. That's why what should have been a 2-hour flight became a 5-hour flight. Holy cow! But I mean, it wasn't bad. Flight was a little longer than it should have been, but it wasn't too bad. And when I got here, so normally if you actually get a visa for Belarus, you need to specify things like what hotel you're staying in and stuff like that, which I think used to be the case for Russia, but not anymore. So today, if you get a visa for Russia, it's pretty straightforward. You don't really need to specify anything. I remember when I went to Russia the first time 13 years ago, they asked more questions, and you had to tell them exactly what cities you're going to. You had to tell them your exact travel plans, first going to this city and then to that city, and what are you doing and how long you're going to be there, stuff like that. You don't need to do that anymore. Russia has really simplified their visa process quite a lot. They've made it a lot more relaxed since then. But here in Belarus, it's kind of how it used to be in Russia. So when I got to the airport and got to passport control, the lady there who checked my passport, she started asking me questions, and she asked me, how long are you going to be here in Belarus, which is a normal question to ask. And then she asked, what did she ask? She asked, do you have a return flight? Which is interesting because I do. I booked a round-trip flight, so I have a return flight to Istanbul in a couple of days. But it's interesting because it's kind of the opposite of the situation that I had in Russia. So if you watched my previous video on my recent trip to Russia just a week or two ago, I hadn't planned that trip out very well. I actually entered Russia. It sounds kind of stupid now. It was kind of foolish of me. I entered Russia without a return ticket. I was planning to book the return ticket while in Russia, and I did. I mean, it worked out the way I'd planned. But in retrospect, it was kind of a foolish thing to do. And I guess they don't want people coming into Belarus who don't have a return ticket. I wonder what would have happened if I didn't have one. Like if I'd booked a one-way ticket and planned to book the return ticket later, and if I told her that, if I'd told her, no, I don't have the return ticket yet, I'm going to book it later, I wonder what they would have done. I doubt they would have denied me entry because of that, but it probably looks kind of weird when this guy comes in on a one-way ticket and doesn't have a firm exit date or an exit ticket yet. But yeah, and she asked me, do you have where are you staying? Do you have a hotel here? And I said, yeah, and I actually showed her the details of the hotel. Like she didn't ask, but I had the address of the hotel on my phone, so I showed her and said, look, I'll show you. I showed her my ticket. Like I showed her, I said, here's my return ticket. Here's my ticket with the airline. Here's the booking with my hotel. She didn't ask to see these things, but I volunteered them. And she looked at them and she said, yeah, okay, that's fine, thanks. And then she asked me, how much money do you have? Like, how much cash do you have? I said, I've got about 200 euro in my pocket. And she said, okay, that's fine. So the reason why I didn't need a visa is because these are all the questions that you would answer on the visa application anyway. So basically, if you fly into the airport, they have people there who are trained to ask these questions anyway. And the thing is also, because flying is more expensive, like it's quite a lot more expensive than taking a bus over the border, I guess the thinking is that if people can afford to fly, then they probably have enough money that they are not at risk. I think what they really want to avoid is deadbeat people coming in here with no money and somehow becoming criminals or something. So I guess that's probably the reason why they're careful about, they don't want people without money, they don't want people without a return ticket, etc. And they figure, okay, if somebody has the money to fly in, then they probably have the money to fly out and afford like a week or two vacation here. So yeah, these are the questions that I would have been asked on a visa application form, but the woman just asked me at the airport, and she was nice. She was courteous, but she was kind of strict. I think also this might just be my fanciful perception, but it seemed to me like she was maybe being a little bit playful, like she was because we spoke in Russian. She asked me if I spoke Russian. I said a little bit, and this whole conversation transpired in Russian. And my Russian is not that good. Like a lot of the time I didn't really understand what she was saying, and I had to ask her to clarify because I just didn't understand her questions. But she had this little kind of smirk on her face the whole time, and I kind of got the impression, again, this might just be me imagining it, I kind of got the impression that she was having a little bit of fun, like she was having a little fun, kind of enjoying, kind of tormenting this foreign guy and making him answer all these questions in Russian. I don't know if that's just my imagining, but it seemed like she was kind of having a little bit of sadistic enjoyment. Well, joke's on her. I'm into that. No, but seriously, she was nice. Everybody was nice. And then at customs, again, they asked me, how much money do you have? And I said, I have about 200 euro in my pocket. And they actually said, show me. Like the woman actually said, show me your money. So I reached into my pocket and pulled 200 euros and said, here you go, here's the money they have. She said, okay, that's fine. But yeah, they just have worries, I guess, that people are going to come here with no money and either not going to be able to get out because they don't have money, or they're planning to work as, like I said, as criminals or do something illegal here, I guess. So I guess that's why they ask all these questions. Anyway, I'm here now in Minsk. First impressions are that, my outside impression of Belarus was that it's kind of like Russia, except a little bit more old-fashioned, still retains a little bit more of the feel of the Soviet Union. Well, now that I'm here, I'd say those perceptions are accurate, except I wouldn't say a little bit. I would say a lot bit. Like, everything here feels so vintage. Everything here feels like, I don't know, it's so clean. It's so tidy. Everything is just so orderly. It feels like these idealized representations of socialism that you would see in like a Soviet propaganda video from like the 1960s or 1970s. Everything just feels here so idealized. Even the way people look and move, like the way people dress, the way people move and act and speak, everything is like out of a movie about the Soviet Union. I appreciate that this is the capital city, and it is a place that's kind of groomed for tourists. They recognize that, when foreign tourists come here, that's probably the impression they want to give those tourists. So I am a little bit curious what it would be like to go farther out into, like a smaller city and see what things are like there and how people feel there. I don't know. I'm not going to do that on this trip. I'm just going to stay here in Minsk. I actually wonder what it would be like to talk to people here, because the thing is, when I first went to Russia, I had these same feelings about it as when I first went to Russia like 13 years ago. I had similar feelings about it. I thought, you know what, this place really feels like a page out of history. It really feels a bit like stepping back in time into a different world with different ideals and, different sort of a different way of thinking. In a good way. Like, for me, it was a positive experience, and I was like, yeah, I really like this place. But my big disappointment was when I actually, moved to Russia and started living there and working with people and started really talking to people about it. And I came to realize just how much Russian people dislike Russia. And that was, for me, the biggest disappointment about Russia. Not really Russia itself, but how Russian people feel about their country. And they would always say, oh, Russia sucks, we hate it here, we don't like the political situation. I mean, I don't understand this Russian fascination with bad-mouthing Russia, how much Russian people hate their country and how much they want to say bad things about it, because, every country has negative aspects. There's no perfect country in the world. I mean, if you think about the USA, people in Russia will often say, we don't like Putin. Well, okay, so what? I mean, how much does Putin affect your everyday life? How much does what he says or does, how much does it impact your everyday life? It's the same situation with Trump. In the USA, when I was in the US, there were so many people who said, oh, I hate Trump, I'm going to leave the country because I don't like something Trump said. I don't understand this at all. Why? I mean, if you don't like Trump, okay, I'm not a big fan of Trump either. I understand. You probably have legitimate reasons to not like him. But why would you say, I'm going to leave the country because I don't like something Trump wrote on Twitter? I do not understand this mentality at all. It's like, okay, you don't like something he said. That's fine. You don't have to leave the country because he said something you don't like. And it's kind of the same thing in Russia. It's like, oh, we don't like something Putin said, so we hate it here. Our lives suck because we don't like what Putin said. I don't get it. I don't understand the mentality at all. So I kind of wonder what it would be like here as well, because I know Lukashenko is not necessarily... I don't know much about him, to be honest. I just know he's the president of Belarus, and he has some... at least in the West, he has some popularity issues. I wonder what it would be like here if I actually started talking to some people, if I just stopped some people on the street and said, what do you think of your life here in Belarus? Because for me as an outsider, it looks nice. It's a nice looking city. And not just the city itself, but just the... not just the architecture, but the way that everything is very sort of, again, very clean. I don't see a lot of I don't think I've seen any graffiti here. So you don't see stuff like graffiti, litter thrown on the ground. Everything here just feels like a picture-perfect sort of representation of an ideal society from the mid-20th century. It looks so nice, but I wonder how these people really feel about their lives here. Do they like living here? Do they have any sense of, I don't necessarily want to say patriotism, but at least some kind of sense of emotional attachment to their country? Or do they just think it sucks here and they would want to leave if they could? I don't know. I'm tempted to ask some people, but first of all, I don't speak Russian very well, and I think people would probably find it a bit odd if some random stranger just suddenly starts asking them questions like this. They'd probably think I'm a spy or someone working for the government trying to sniff out dissidents or something like that. They probably wouldn't. I'm not going to do something like that. But speaking of Russian, the Russian language, Belarus technically has its own language. There is a Belarusian language, but it's very similar to Russian. And in practice, a lot of people here just speak Russian because the Russian language is obviously much more influential and important in cultural and political and economic spheres. So yeah. Walking. I'm walking on the bike trail. I wanted to get out of this guy's way. That's why I stepped onto the bike trail. But I should probably get back onto the pedestrian way now. So yeah. First impressions of Belarus. Nice place. I like it here. But again, that's just a first impression. It would be interesting to live here for a while, talk to people, see what they think of it, what their everyday experiences are like. Because I know that, I mean, most places do this. Most places will recognize that tourists will go to their capital city first and try to put on a show of being, they'll try to put on their best face for tourists so that tourists get a positive impression. It would be nice to go a little bit outside of Minsk, see what people's lives are like there, but yeah, I'm not going to do that this time. Maybe if I ever come back here, maybe I'll plan something like that, but for now, like I said, I'm just here in Minsk, and quite liking it. I wonder what this says. Slava Beramojtsam. Slava means something like glory to, because it's often used in the current situation with regard to like Slava Geroi, glory to the heroes, or something like that, for example. Obviously that's some kind of political statement, I assume, but I don't know. I might translate it later, but somebody will probably comment and say what it means. You have these scooters here. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting how countries are touched by modernity. Like even though this place feels very sort of Art Deco, it feels like it hasn't left the mid-20th century. You do see touches of modernity here and there. Not as much as in Russia. In Russia, I was in Russia a week or two, like 2 weeks ago, and the Moscow metro now has USB charging ports in the seats. Like the newer trains have in the seats, like next to the seats, they have USB charging ports, so you can charge your phone while riding on the Moscow metro, which is kind of cool. I mean, stuff like that. Like Russia has done a lot to modernize itself in the past 20 years or so, and modernization is happening here as well. I kind of wonder what Belarus will be like in another 10 years, because when I first went to St. Petersburg 13 years ago, it felt more Soviet than it does now, and Russia's done a lot since then. I kind of wonder, in 10 years, is Belarus going to feel that in 10 years like Moscow does now? I don't know. We'll have to see. So I've come a little farther now. There's the Hotel Belarus back there. Here again, you see that text, Better Slava Beramojtsam. And the sun is coming out a little bit. That's nice. So on that side there's a nice park there. I'm gonna head over to that park and check it out there. See what it's like over there. So this red M signifies the entrance to a metro station. Minsk has a metro similar to other significant cities. I thought this was interesting. This sign actually has 2 phone numbers on it, and it says, obviously it's for people in wheelchairs, it says, call and we'll help you. So if you're in a wheelchair and you want some help navigating this obviously rather steep ramp, you can call the phone number and somebody will come and help you up or down the ramp to and from the metro. That's nice. Yeah, the metro here is also very Soviet. I mean, it really feels pretty much like the metro in St. Petersburg. They have, I think, the exact same models of trains. They're probably still the same trains left over from the Soviet Union. It's not that remarkable. I mean, the metro itself is not that remarkable. Okay, what is remarkable to me is the way you get in. In Moscow and St. Petersburg, there are turnstiles. That means that if you want to go in, there's like a thing blocking your way, and you have to put in a token or beep your card or something so that the machine will let you in. Here, they don't even have turnstiles. You can literally just walk in. There is a slot where you're supposed to put a token. You're supposed to buy a token and stick the token in the slot when you go in. But there's nothing blocking your path. So you could just walk in. And there is a guy there, like there is a guy at those gates watching people to make sure that they put in tokens. But he's not going to see what you put in. I mean, you could put in, I don't know, just anything. You could put in a piece of pocket lint and he probably wouldn't be able to tell from where he's standing because he's standing a little distance away. So it's pretty much just on the honor system that people are actually putting in subway tokens. Also, I did not see machines where you could buy tokens. So in Moscow and St. Petersburg now, they have automatic vending machines where you can buy tokens and cards for the metro. Here, I didn't see that. Here, you have to still go to a person, like a desk where there's a person working, and give them some cash and say, I'd like to buy a token or a few tokens, and they give it to you. So that's also kind of a thing retained in these old, these less modern countries. There's less automation overall. There's less, there's not so much replacing human beings with machines. And talking about money, by the way, the Belarusian ruble, so the Belarusian money is called a ruble, just like the Russian one, but the Belarusian ruble has an exchange rate now of about, around about, let's say €1 or $1 because they're almost equivalent now, the US dollar and the euro. So €1 or $1 is about 3 Belarusian rubles. So 1 ruble here is about 30 cents, which is really not bad when you consider that the Russian ruble, $1 or €1 is about 100 Russian rubles. So 1 Russian ruble is like 1 cent. So the Belarusian ruble is definitely doing better by comparison. But the metro here costs 90 kopecks. So a kopek is like a Russian cent. So 1 ruble is 100 kopecks. So it costs 90 kopecks, just about 1 ruble. So it costs like the equivalent of 30 cents in the Eurozone or in America, which is quite cheap. It's very cheap. So it's super cheap to use the metro here. And again, like they don't even really check that you're putting in tokens. I mean, again, there's a guy watching to make sure that people do, but you could just like fake putting in a token. He probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference from where he's standing. So yeah. The economy here, I don't know exactly how the Belarusian economy is doing. I have heard that the overall economic standard of living here is slightly higher than in Russia. I don't know whether that's true, but that is statistically, at least according to measures like the HDI, Human Development Index or whatever, allegedly things are slightly better here than in Russia. But who knows whether that's true? These things are measured using statistical methods, which, don't always reflect people's everyday lives, so I don't know. Speaking of the economy, here are 3 big banks right here. So there's VTB, which is a big bank from Russia. Paritet Bank, I don't think I've heard of that one. And the orange one is the Belarusky Narodny Bank, the Belarusian National Bank. Talking about banks, one thing that I wanted to mention but forgot. ATMs work here with foreign cards. That is a big, big, big blessing because I mentioned it in my Russian video, but I'll just mention it again. When I was in Russia, I hadn't really realized, I was stupid enough that I didn't really internalize the fact that I would need to pay everything in cash because foreign bank cards are blocked there. So even though I went with my bank card, I couldn't use it to buy anything. I couldn't even use it to withdraw cash at an ATM because Russia has been cut off from the financial networks that those machines use. So the only money that I could have was the cash that I brought with me. That was it. I had no way of getting other money. Whereas when I arrived here, I tried out an ATM at the airport. They have ATMs at the airport where you can withdraw cash. I tried my bank card there and it worked. So worst case scenario here, if I run out of money, I can just withdraw more money from an ATM. That is a huge blessing. In Russia, oh boy, if I had run out of cash in Russia, I really don't know what I would have done because I had no way of getting more money. I could not, I could not withdraw money because the ATMs only work with, domestic Russian accounts, and I couldn't buy anything, because again, the same reason. All I had was the cash in my pocket. And I was very lucky that it was enough cash for the trip, because if I had run out of money, and especially having not bought my ticket out of Russia yet, that would have been probably one of the worst situations of my life. I really don't know what I would have done in that situation. I might have had to contact my embassy, my embassy of citizenship, and tell them I'm stranded here, I have no money, and they might have had to extradite me. But anyway, that's not a concern here. Bank cards work here, so thank goodness I can use my card here to withdraw cash if I need it. I'm standing here on what is probably Minsk's main shopping street. This is kind of like the main drag where all the, well, not all, but like the main shops and malls and things are. Over there, there's Belarus, that's the airline that I flew here with. But also, there's Mac.by. Now, there's a certain well-known fast food chain, which you may have heard of, which has pulled out of Russia and I guess out of Belarus as well. So they don't have that particular fast food chain anymore. Instead, now it's just Mac. It's the same food, probably the same company, probably the same workers, but it's not that company, it's Mac. Honestly, I don't know why they even bother, because Burger King is still here. I mean, not only here, but in Russia. Burger King is still operating in Russia. I think KFC is. I don't really know what they were trying to prove. I'm not sure what they were trying to accomplish with their pullout from Russia, but yeah. Now here in Belarus, there's Mac. So here's a nice little kind of contrast. So I'm still here on this major shopping street. This is like the big shopping thoroughfare in Minsk. But just around the corner here, you get this kind of pedestrian-friendly area. Most cities have one big street like this where, we get a lot of nice little cafes where it's more oriented towards pedestrians. I like that this place is using an eggplant as a logo, considering what the eggplant currently signifies in online emojis. This woman in a blue dress is doing a photo shoot. You see a lot of this kind of stuff in Russia. A lot of women love to do these kind of random photo shoots in public places, but they usually do them in parks or things like that. It's not so common to do them in front of a restaurant like she's doing. But yeah, here we go. This is the pedestrian area where cars don't drive, and you just have people walking around looking at the nice little shops and cafes and restaurants and whatever else they have here. It's pretty nice here. I mean, it is nothing particularly remarkable, and most places seem closed. I'm not sure if I'm just too early. I think it's a little bit before 11 o'clock in the morning here, so I guess probably these places open up later because they probably cater more to tourists than to locals. But there's at least a Oh, okay, there we go. There's the time. So it's like 8 minutes after 11. So I would have thought that these places would be open by now, but I guess not. Oh well. Still a nice place to walk around, and they've thoughtfully offered some seating here, so I'm gonna... Let's see, where can we go? We can go to the metro station Niamicha. We can go to the Rakowskaya Bradmi... I don't know what that is. Cathedral. Oh, Vulitsa must mean Ulitsa Street. Okay. Here's the historic site of the former St. Michael the Archangel Catholic Church. Okay, you can go there. I'm just gonna sit here. I'm just gonna sit and rest and relax for a while. And this is another major kind of shopping street in Minsk, but it's a lot more open. You can see the street is a lot broader. It's a lot more open. This is Prospekt Niezależności. That's the name of it. Yeah, I like these kinds of big open spaces. You notice that these places that retain their sort of socialist or ex-socialist aspirations, they tend to have these large sort of open squares and streets. They don't feel as boxed in. It's kind of a characteristic that they tend to have. Palac Respubliki, the Palace of the Republic. Nacionalny Akademiczny Wielki Teatr Opery I Balleta. So the National Academy of the Great Theater, Opera, and Ballet. Я иду в лесу. Я хочу жить в лесу, потому что я люблю быть в лесу. Поэтому марату казаю. I think I'm already slowly coming to, or not slowly, I'm pretty much at the end of what I have to show and say here. That was my day in Minsk. It's not really even over yet. I mean, it's only about noon or so, but Minsk is fairly compact. It does not have a huge city center. You can, if you walk around, you can see pretty much most of the Minsk city center in a few hours. So I walked around this morning for 3 or 4 hours, saw most of it already, I think. And yeah, of course, there's more that I could show. I mean, there's more. There's always more. There's always more that you can show of a place, but I don't want to make like a 2-hour video. I'm kind of happy with what I got. I think that will suffice. At least I think I got an idea of what it feels like to be here. Wow, check out that old Soviet transmission tower. It's pretty awesome. So, closing remarks. This is the last Slavic country in the world that I had not been in yet. Now I've been here. I've been in every Slavic country that exists in the world, except for Chicago, which is like a whole Polish country unto itself. But well, I've been to Chicago actually. Anyway, I like it here. I think it's apparent that I like this place. Would I recommend that you come here? If you're thinking about coming here, would I recommend it? As an experience, as a place to visit, as a tourist, it's not bad for a couple of days. I'm sure there's, like, if you go outside of Minsk, I'm sure there's more that you can see here. Is there much to worry about or be cautious about? I don't think so. If anybody's worrying about the radiation risks, so, of course, I think most people know about Chernobyl and the Chernobyl disaster that happened in the 1980s. But the thing is, even though Chernobyl is in Ukraine, it's close to the border with Belarus, and the wind at that time was blowing from the south or southwest, and so most of the radiation from the accident got blown here into Belarus. So people may wonder, what are the radiation risks? Are people here at, in danger of at increased risk of nuclear radiation? The short answer is not really. Here in Minsk, this place was not much affected by the disaster, so here there's not much radiation. In eastern, especially in southeastern Belarus, there is still, as far as I know, there is an increased radiation risk there, around cities like Gomel. As far as I know, yes, they still have problems with radiation there. They have problems growing things in the ground because the ground is irradiated, and so the food that they grow is also irradiated. But people live there. They live with it. I guess probably they have an increased risk of developing cancer. But people here in Minsk, like here in Minsk, I don't think there's no risk here. So it's pretty safe in terms of that. English is not widely spoken here. If you do not speak Russian, you're going to have a hard time here. So, be aware of that. And people here are a bit more strict overall. Like I was talking about the people at the border. Like when I go to Russia, nobody asks me, do you have a hotel? Nobody asks me, where are you going or how long you're going to be here. Like nobody cares. Every time I go to Russia, they look at my passport, they stamp it, they say thanks, have a nice day, and that's it. That's the extent of it. I think that overall Belarus is a bit more yeah, a bit more strict. They're a bit more follow the rules kind of here, which is not bad. I mean, it's not like some crazy totalitarian oppressive society. It's just they're more concerned about following the rules here than in Russia. Russia has become a lot more lax, a lot more liberal in terms of rules and things like that. And all the things that you used to have to do to go to Russia. I mean, you still need a visa. You do still need a visa, but a lot of the process of getting a visa has become easier since I first got one 13 years ago. And yeah, overall, if you've already been to Russia, I don't know that there's really a whole lot here that you haven't seen. I mean, like I said, it does feel different. There is a bit of a different feel here, but it's not that wildly different. It's not massively, vastly different from Russia. So, if you're in the area and you're inclined to come here, sure, why not? It's a nice place. But I don't know that I wouldn't recommend it over Russia. If you're trying to decide whether you should come here or Russia, I would say probably Russia is the better place. There's just so much more to see and do in Russia. And if I had to live somewhere, like if somebody told me you have to choose, you have the choice between either living in Russia or living in Belarus, I think I would choose living in Russia, just because, again, there's just so much more to see and do in Russia. Here, it's not a bad place. Like, don't get me wrong, I haven't had any negative experiences or impressions here at all. Everything here has been very positive. But it's just kind of small. It's just kind of it's like a mini Russia, and whatever there is here, whatever attractions and activities and things like that people may enjoy here, I think there's just a lot more of it in Russia. So, yeah. But I'm happy that I came here. It was nice being here. It was a pleasant day of being a tourist. And yeah, about the whole Soviet Union thing, we don't really know, I don't really know what it was like in the Soviet Union. I was never there. And of course there are, we get many impressions of it from movies and books and things like that, which were made about the Soviet Union, which kind of document it. And you get kind of an idea of what it was like from those, but you never really know the full extent of the feeling of what it was really like to be there if you haven't been there yourself. Well, I will never be in the Soviet Union because it obviously doesn't exist anymore. But I think that whatever ideals the Soviet Union was trying to fight for, whatever ideals were treasured by socialism, I think we do kind of make a mistake when we associate these too strongly with things like architecture. Like I said at the beginning, that Belarus hotel, which looks marvelous at night, by the way. I wonder if I should get a shot of that at night, because during the daytime it looks impressive, but at night it really looks wonderful. It looks like it looks very stately. It looks very majestic in the night. But stuff like that, that's architecture, and it kind of gives us a nostalgic reminder of the past. But whatever ideals socialism was trying to fight for are not to be found just in architecture. It's not like we've lost these ideals because buildings look different now. That's not the point. I think we're kind of missing the point when we look at these old symbols of the past, like architecture and particular art styles and things like that. I think that if this whole idea of friendship among nations and equality between people and economic fairness, all the things that socialism stood for, or at least was supposed to stand for, I think these things can be realized even if there are USB ports on the metro trains. I don't think having USB ports to charge your phone necessarily hinders the cause of socialism. So, and I'm not allying myself with communism. I don't really consider myself a communist, but I'm not really anything. Like, I'm not a capitalist either. I don't associate myself with any one particular sort of ism or anything like that. I think that all these different systems have pros and cons, and rather than adhering too closely to the past, as many people do, because many people want to go back to the Soviet Union, I think we have a responsibility as people who can learn from history. We need to learn the lessons from history and understand that, the Soviet Union was in many ways a great place. Many people have very fond memories of the Soviet Union, and I think with good reason. But there were also many problems there as well. And we shouldn't ignore those. We shouldn't idealize the past and say, everything was perfect then. It wasn't. There were many problems in the Soviet Union. I mean, there's a reason why people wanted to get rid of the Soviet Union. There's a reason why so many people don't want it back. So I don't think the solution is just to say, well, we should go back in time, turn back the clock 50 years and go back to how things were before. I think we need to combine the best of both worlds. We need to learn the lessons of the past and understand what was good and what was bad, and try to take the good parts and separate them from the bad parts, because otherwise we're just going to keep making the same mistakes. So it was nice to come here. It was nice to see these sort of symbols and remembrances of a nation that doesn't exist anymore, a union that has not existed for more than 30 years. Oh, this is Gorky, isn't it? Yeah, I think this is Gorky Park. I mean, there's another Gorky Park in Russia, obviously, but this is the one here. Yeah, this is Gorky Park in Minsk. So I think that, we can't go back to the past. You can never go back to the past. And rather than trying to do so, we should move forward into a future which, again, where we've learned from our mistakes. Let's learn from the mistakes of the past. Let's try to recognize the missteps that humanity took along the way, while at the same time understanding that there was value in the ideals that people held then. So, like I was saying, it was nice to come here. It was nice to see these remembrances of the past, but let's not idealize that past too much. Let's understand that a better future can exist if we want it and if we build it. But we shouldn't just use the past as a template, because there were many problems back then as well. And I'm not saying that we should go back to those times. I'm not implying that. I mean, again, people like myself, or like Bald and Bankrupt, we may idealize those times just because we didn't experience them. And so we see all this grand architecture, we see all these, magnificent sort of films that were made at the time, and we think, wow, it must have been so great to live in those times. But I don't think it can have been that great, because if it really was that great, then why don't people miss it? Why do most people say it's better now? Why do most people say, no, we don't want to go back to those times? And these are the people who actually experienced it, as opposed to, again, people like myself who just sort of romantically view it from through the lens of history. So let's be realistic here. Let's understand that whatever we're moving toward, we can't just use the past as a blueprint. The past is not a blueprint for the future, but it does have some lessons for us to learn. So let's learn from the past and incorporate those lessons into the future. Anyway, that's my message for today. I think I don't have much more to show here in Minsk or say about it. If I see anything, if I spot anything, I'll add that to the end of the video. But otherwise, I think this is where I sign off. So, thanks for watching, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Greetings from Minsk. And yeah, have a good life. This here is Ploshchad Pobedy, the Victory Plaza. I'm not sure exactly what victory they're commemorating here. Probably World War II. If I had to guess, I would say probably World War II. You can see there's an eternal flame going there. So yeah, this is probably a memorial to the victory in World War II. All right, I present to you folks the Hotel Belarus at night. Isn't it marvelous? It just looks, oh, it just looks wonderful. It looks like something out of BioShock or some similar sort of period piece. The lights on the side also kind of sometimes do a little pattern where they'll kind of, you can kind of see it a little bit on the left side there. One on the right side. Oh, there we go. Yeah, see the lights kind of cycle a little bit. Also in the center, right underneath the name, Belarus, there's like a luminescent sort of rectangle. That's the elevator. Let's see if the, is that elevator going to come on down eventually? Oh, the lights went out. Lights out, Gorilla Radio. I'm assuming they're going to come back on soon. Because the elevator also looks kind of cool when it's in motion. You can clearly see it going up and down the elevator shaft there, except now it has suddenly become dark. Очень жаль. I'm assuming it will come back on again soon, though. Aw. I don't see the elevator. It's like the best part. Whoa. Very quacky duck suddenly decided to make himself heard. Actually, I think it's a she. It's hard to tell because it's dark, but I think it's a female duck from the coloring. The brown ones are the females, right? Like the brighter colored ones with like the green heads or necks or whatever, those are the males, I think, and then the brown ones I think are females, if I remember right. I think, probably. Well, I'm a bit bummed that we can't see the elevator all lit up. I mean, we did. We didn't see it in motion, but let me get a little closer and just, I don't know why I'm so fascinated by this hotel. I just love the way it looks. Just something about how it looks is just very triggering for me in a positive way. Like it triggers positive emotions in me for some reason. I don't know why. It's a pretty windy night. Actually, it was raining earlier, but the rain has stopped now, so I thought I'd come out and take a short video while it's not raining. Short video. It's probably going to end up being longer than I planned because I'm waiting for that darn elevator to light up again, and it is not doing it. Oh, also over there you can see, so I know my camera lens kind of produces a lot of fuzziness in this light. Minsk Gorod Geroi, Minsk Hero City. Minsk is a hero city, I think probably because of World War II, I'm guessing. All these nice little flower formations and things like that they plant here. It's really nice. I like the way they put these little flower patterns in these little gardens by the side of the walkway. Okay, I don't know how much longer I should wait for the elevator to come back on. I mean, you saw it, right? You saw that the elevator was lit up. There was that glowing rectangle below the red text at the top, and that was the elevator. I saw it when it was going up, but I didn't start filming until it was already all the way at the top. I wonder if that's just the penthouse elevator or something. Because there must be other elevators inside. A huge hotel like that probably doesn't have just one elevator. So there's probably There are probably multiple elevators inside the hotel, and maybe that one that was lit up was like the penthouse elevator for VIPs. And so it only lights up when a VIP is going to the penthouse suite at the top. I have no idea. I don't know if there is a penthouse suite at the top. I'm guessing there is. It's probably. It looks like the top floor has a different structure to the floors below it. So I'm assuming that that's like a VIP floor for VIPs, for more wealthy people. Although it's only a 3-star hotel. There are other classier hotels in the city for super wealthy people. Actually, the hotel where I'm staying actually lists 4 different hotels on it, and it gives their star ratings. Let me see if I can. I don't know if this will show up very well in the dark. Probably not. So you can see the first hotel there is a 5-star hotel. That's the President Hotel. Then the next one is a 4-star hotel. It's the Hotel Minsk. Okay, it's just called Minsk. And then the 2 3-star hotels. The first one is the Jubileni Hotel. That's the one where I'm staying. And then the 4th one is called Planeta, I think. Planet. So Hotel Planet is a 3-star hotel. This one's not on the list, but I'm seeing on the front there, I'm seeing 3 stars, which suggests to me that it is a 3-star hotel. So I mean, it's not like even though it looks pretty cool from the outside, it's not like the classiest or swankiest hotel in town. So I'm wondering what the deal was with that one elevator shaft, because there can't just be that one elevator in the whole hotel. I mean, a hotel this big has people going up and down all the time. There's no way there was just that one elevator going up and then that's it. All right, well, I'm not going to sit around here all night and wait for the elevator to light up again. Yeah, hopefully you saw it, and if not, you can imagine it. There we go. Now we see it. As I was walking away, it lit up and started coming down again. So now you see the elevator going down. Once again, that's clearly just one elevator. And in a hotel of this size, how many floors does it have? It's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20. Something like 20 floors. Yeah, and each floor must have, I don't know, 10 or 20 rooms at least. So that's like, yeah, there got to be hundreds of people in that hotel. There's no way that in a hotel with hundreds of guests staying there, that there's just like one person going up and down every few minutes. So there must be other elevators. I don't know why that one elevator is lit up like that, but anyway, you saw it. Cool elevator. So on the way back from the Hotel Belarus, which is still there, I saw this, and this probably makes a nice note to end on. It says, Minsk is a healthy, clean city. Now, I realize there's a certain irony here because this woman is standing next to the sign smoking, which is probably not the healthiest activity she could be doing, and she's probably completely oblivious to the fact that I'm talking about her now, but yeah, Minsk is a healthy, clean city. Now, when I was talking before about the ideals of the Soviet Union, I realized that these ideals are sometimes very vague. You know, they're not really clearly stated. What exactly was supposed to be the point of it all in the first place? That's a difficult question to answer, and I think these things they're kind of something that you have to sort of understand by feel. You kind of have to feel them rather than always being able to articulate them in words. But just to give sort of a counter example, where I live in a fairly Western country, what would people be proud of? What would people say, is the pride of where they live? They'd say, we're preparing for the future. We're getting ready for the future by investing in artificial intelligence. We're digitizing everything to make everything connected to the internet so that everything's all online. We're training our people to be more competitive in the global workforce. Now let me ask you folks, or let me encourage you to ask yourselves, what place do you think has a better future? The place that says we're preparing for the future by creating smarter artificial intelligence by creating a more digitized, networked world where everything's on the internet 24/7, everything and everyone is connected to the internet all the time, and where people are trained to be more competitive and fight against each other in the labor marketplace? Or does the better future exist in the place that says we are a healthy, clean place to live? I think there's something here that much of the world has lost and forgotten. And maybe it will be forgotten from here too. Like I said, who knows what Belarus will be like in 10 years from now. Already you can see signs of, this screen showing advertising. This is obviously a modern development. This is obviously signs of commercialism popping up here as well. So, there's... I'm not saying this place is perfect. Far from it. I'm just saying there's something here that I think people have forgotten and are forgetting still. Alright, that's it from me. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye. Well, here I am, back at the Minsk airport, ready to leave. That sign up there with the little heart-shaped island says, "I love Belarus." I do indeed. It was nice here. It was nice. Okay, last vision of Belarus before I leave. This little, well, not little, this kind of crest with the flags waving over it that welcomes people here at the airport to Belarus. It looks pretty cool. Kind of nice first vision of Belarus to welcome people here. But yeah, that's it. I am heading off. Farewell, Belarus. We might never see each other again, but it was nice here. I enjoyed my time with you. Take care, everybody.